Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so halfway through breakfast, already full. Figured I'd let the food settle a little bit, maybe eat a little more and throw it away or whatever. Not really sure what I'll do, but figured I'd make some content. Got laundry in the dryer, and it is what, 10:47. Forgot to check the time. All right, so look, the Lakers are talking about Zion Williamson. Maybe I made a video on this long ago, maybe about 4 weeks ago. Essentially saying I would be interested in bringing on Zion, but I would be hesitant to be confident when doing so. A month later, I don't feel much better at all. I mean, the dude hasn't played ball since I said that. Like, he didn't. I don't think he was playing then. So, best ability is availability, and Zion is a great player by name, but the reality is he's just another person you got to wait on to come back, hoping he doesn't get hurt again, knowing that he will. I'm not giving up any pick equity for a person like that, and I don't feel I should be giving up any reliable pieces for a person like that. That's the reality of the Zion Williamson situation. I think that's just a practical way of looking at it. Now, could I be missing out on an opportunity to buy low on a superstar? Yes. The answer is yes. And that's what you wrestle with if you're a GM in the league. Right now, you see, the problem that people will often find is that they always want a surefire bet, but when you have a surefire bet, you're paying a surefire price. That price tag can, that money could be better utilized in other areas trying to boost your team to become a champion. It's the teams that take chances and strike it rich that ultimately have enough to put good talent next to those players and go crazy. I think about the Boston Celtics going and getting Porzingis. Even though he had a good season in Washington, he's still a hell of an injury risk and has pretty much been injured. But they did a good job putting him next to contracts that they could fit together, and now they have a deep team despite having $200-300 million contracts on the roster. It's because they took certain chances and made things happen. So, with Zion, I don't think the fit is really all there, to be honest with you. I look at him as a player that probably does not fit next to Bron at all. He potentially fits next to AD, but not necessarily seamlessly, depending on what else is out there. And so, you kind of want him on the tab just to boost your overall talent. There are going to be circumstances where JJ may actually want to bring him off the bench. How is he going to be up for that? I think the answer is of course not. So you kind of don't think this is the best place for him based on fit. But when you're talking about trying to build yourself a championship team, you just want talent that can't be stopped. And Zion Williamson next to LeBron James, next to Anthony Davis, if you find rotations that work, you're going to win every game you're in, basically, if he's playing his best and everybody else is playing like they're expected to. Bron and AD can just beat themselves. Zion killing it in second units. You basically never lose, to be honest with you, because what you end up having is a player coming off your bench that's better than every bench player in the world. That's my vision for Zion. That he would be the best sixth man ever, essentially, literally. Him and somebody like Ginobili would be the greatest bench players ever play. So, like that, I don't think Zion's a bench player in this league. I'm just saying for this roster, for it to work, he probably would be the player that comes off the bench, that steps in, plays 35 minutes a game. You're going to have him out there with the starters sometimes, but he's probably not going to start. You're going to have him giving Bron a break, giving AD a break, playing with them sometimes individually, but probably not all three on the floor too often, which is a hell of a price tag to pay for a player that ultimately you're not going to have in certain situations. He's too good of a player not to finish games. He's too good of a player not to get consistent touches, and in this situation, he just wouldn't get them. AD's going to get those touches. Bron's going to get those touches, and they're not going to defer to Zion no matter how good Zion is. It's just not going to happen. So I just don't think this is the greatest place for him. I can understand the Lakers going after him if they think they can get him for a price tag that they can afford, and just figure it out when they get him here. But, just in a nutshell, do I think he's the best fit for the Lakers? No, I don't. But for the limited amount that the Lakers have and needing to get bang for your buck, he's probably the cheapest superstar in the world. And you probably need to be the team going after the cheapest superstar in the world if you're the Lakers. So the opportunity cost is probably worth it. It probably is. Just for the sake of the timeline and we needing to win, needing a player who can be retraded for a bunch of stuff or go forward in our tank mission, he could be all of that. He could be all of that. If he's healthy, he can be any of those things. So that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I told you guys I'd probably make the trade for Zion Williamson, but I would not include any first round picks, which is probably going to keep me from getting them. What I understand that the Pelicans are willing to move anything on their roster, not named Yves Messi, Trigger Murphy, and Herb Jones. I think they're missing some players that they probably should be holding on to. Two who comes to mind is Hawkins and Brandon Boston. I would not move either one of those two either. Everybody else I probably would be willing to move, but they have their demand to keep list a little shorter than I think it should be. There's two more players they should probably hold on to. But I don't think anybody's paying. I don't think they think people are demanding those players. Hawkins has not gotten his minutes, and Brandon Boston. Most people don't realize how good Brandon has been playing all season long, and his breakout's kind of been under the radar since he's been on this bad team. But so maybe they think that maybe they don't think there'll be a demand for those players, or maybe they don't value them properly themselves. I don't know what it is, but those would be players I would definitely add to that list. So yeah, I don't think New Orleans is really that great of a franchise right now. I know they have a storied GM who had great years with the Cavs, got some things done, but I don't think they've done the greatest job. Seeing how Dyson Daniels has flourished in Atlanta and knowing that he was there for like the last 5 years, it's troubling to me. It's very troubling. The fact that they do have such exaggerated issues with injuries is also very troubling to me. So I don't know. I don't think New Orleans is that great of a franchise. If I'm being completely honest with you, and I don't really have a lot of faith in them going forward at all. It's one of those situations where I think the owner's probably looking at the situation and saying, "Why am I paying all this money for talent that is losing so bad? Let me get rid of it if I'm going to lose anyway." Which, I mean, it holds some logic to it. It's not like that's an illogical thought. But I think with the type of talent that they have, coupled with the fact that they're probably going to garner tank record anyway and get a nice pick in the draft anyway, and I don't know that they have the greatest development department right now. I just think they're headed for a crash and burn situation if they really do overhaul on all that talent that they have. They have a lot of talent on salary. It's all really good talent. If anything, they just need to invest in their health department a bit better, I'd say, and their player development department a bit better before they trigger their rebuild. Now, far be it for me to be somebody that's close to the Pelicans, but it looks like from afar they're about to trigger a very unnatural rebuild, as I often call it. And they're giving away some young, in their prime guys that probably would be great if they were just in a better organization together. I mean, they can move one or two of them, but just overhauling just because you're losing anyway. And when you consider getting a big draft pick, a fantastic draft pick, now if you keep everything you have, you're adding it to your situation, which makes you even more talented. Talent is what the name of the game is all about. So I think the Pelicans are about to unload talent at half the price in a CBA that is not favorable in getting the best return, simply because they're losing and they don't want to pay taxes on what it is that they have. And I think that is from where I'm sitting, probably not a good decision. It's the same thing I said about Philadelphia, but I think even less of Philly in that regard. You don't necessarily need to trade anything to tank because you're already losing. So you get the benefit of not needing to rebuild and still getting a great pick. It's almost like the Lakers when they got James Worthy. It's like we were a good team. We just so happened to have the opportunity to get the first overall pick from, I think it was the Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. It was before my time, but as I recall, the Lakers were a championship team and ended up getting the first overall pick. That's kind of the talent level of the Pelicans if they get a first overall pick this year. It's like they vault to championship if they don't necessarily do this overhaul. So I know they're frustrated. I know the owner probably has demands upon his own wallets. He don't want to pay this tax. But you're in a rich position if you just continue to lose without moving anything. You really are, because you already got a super talented basketball team. The only problem is it can't stay healthy. I think about the San Antonio Spurs when they got Tim Duncan. They got the first overall pick because David Robinson got hurt at the beginning of the season, and their team went downhill from there. They just decided to tank, and it worked out. They had David Robinson come back, and they won a championship with Tim Duncan and David Robinson as Twin Towers. So it's like, if you don't have a vision, you're going to do the stuff that the Pelicans are trying to do. But if you do have a vision, you'll just ride this out because you're losing any damn way, and you got a talented enough team to probably do deep things in the playoffs if they all were healthy. Now you get to add a rookie contract of a top-level talent in a very good draft to what it is that you have if you just don't do anything. Instead of unloading it, starting over, hoping to get back the talent that essentially you got right now. It's not like these guys are in their late 30s or nothing like that. Everybody on this team is 27. That's prime years of all of the players on your team. So I don't agree with what they're doing. I understand it if that's what the owner's trying to do financially, and he doesn't give a damn about any of this. He just wants to make sure he's not wasting money or she's not wasting money. Cool, whatever. That's irresponsible. You probably should sell your team to somebody who really cares about winning, if that's what your intention is there. Because when you got a bunch of 27-year-olds on your team that are all all-star level talented players, and you can't keep them healthy, that's kind of on you not spending the money where you need to. That's not on them not being who it is that they were before they got there. DeJounte Murray was a covetable player before he got there. Brandon Ingram was a covetable player before he got there. C.J. McCollum was a covetable player before he got there. Zion Williamson, before you drafted him, was literally the most intriguing prospect we've seen since LeBron James. Like, these things went bad when they got in your hands. And judging by what we're seeing from Dyson Daniels, it seems that these things immediately get better when you let go of them. At some point in time, the Pelicans need to look at themselves and say the roster's not the problem. We are. Because we got all the talent in the world. But it gets worse as soon as it gets here. And now we're talking about moving all of that stuff, which is inevitably going to get into situations that are ultimately allow it to win again and look its best again. And we're going to start over with a rookie and whatever picks we get for the players that we give up. I mean, what do you... And that's another thing. If you're going to trade away a bunch of 27-year-olds, what are you trading them away for? 22-year-olds? So you can develop them? High-level guys that you have to draft and develop when you don't really have a good development situation? Because most of the stuff that you got that's really talented, as I said, was elsewhere before it got here. So it's like the Pelicans, I just think they're headed in the wrong direction. I feel sorry for Pelicans fans because you're about to blow up a roster that's actually probably good enough to win a championship, believe it or not. When you consider that starting lineup and then you look at the players that they're developing right now on the back of the bench, the Bostons, Alvarados, the Yves Messi coming along, nice pick. You got talent behind talent, which means there's depth. You just got to get everybody healthy. And so that's why the Pelican situation is a bit perplexing to me. If they want to do a fire sale because they think tanking equates to needing to move all of the stuff on salary off your team, then we talk about player evaluation as a weakness. I heard somebody comment something a couple days ago. I think it was yesterday on something I was watching. Guy had commented on this program I was watching saying that the Knicks were able to get Karl Anthony Towns for one pick and salary. No. They got Karl Towns for one pick and an all-star level player in Julius Randle, who happened to be expiring. That is the talent. Players are not always salary, just like salary's not always talent, but you got to know when which is which, or how something can be both in regards to a conversation. When it comes to moving on from Karl Anthony Towns, essentially you're hoping that Julius Randle can be production, not just salary. It is salary being moved, but the contract is not the most important aspect of the conversation. It's actually the production of Julius Randle keeping them above the fray so that they can continue to win after making that trade. So if you're looking at what the Pelicans have, to skip back to what we were talking about, as salary, then you're underestimating the productivity of the players on salary. These are players. DeJounte's a player. B.I.'s a player. CJ's a player. Zion, when he's healthy, obviously a player. So it's like, if you're getting rid of him and you're assessing him as solely salary, you're not assessing what you have very well. That you don't want to add Hawkins and Boston to your must-keep handful of players when you're about to start your rebuild essentially tells me you don't know what the hell you're doing, because those are two young players that need to be a part of a rebuild. Why aren't they untouchable in regards to what you have? They're on rookie contracts, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, this type of stuff is like, Pelicans don't know what the hell they're doing. If I'm being honest with you, they don't know what they're doing, y'all. And that tells me that they don't necessarily have the leverage to get the best return for what they are offering. So if they want to unload, and this is what they're presenting, if I'm another GM, I'm about to fleece them. If I'm Danny Ainge or somebody, I'm about to fleece them, y'all. I'm telling you right now. Especially in this CBA, I'm fleecing them. They'll be lucky to get 3 second-rounders for Brandon Ingram, messing with me. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're assessing. I don't really know what they're assessing. You can never be certain that the reports that are being out there are true. I would probably move CJ because I think he's a little bit older. I would probably consider moving Zion because I don't trust his health. But Brandon Ingram, yeah, I can see them moving Brandon too. But some of that other stuff, maybe they shouldn't. DeJounte, probably not. Probably not. And if you try to keep it all together, you probably have more in doing so than you will when you trade them. Essentially what I'm saying. You can make a case for moving these players, as I clearly have. But the case that you're not going to get back what you are sending out is a real one. And the case that you would be better for keeping it all together and continuing to lose out the season and getting a first, second, third overall pick, and you being better for doing that, is a real one. So, I don't want to negate my point. I can definitely make an argument for moving some of those guys. I really do want to be clear and say, CJ, I'm cool. I move him because I can't stand his game personally. He drives me crazy watching him play basketball. I don't like watching him play. He's a chucker. He chucks the ball entirely too much. That's a thing there for me. BI injuries. Zion injuries. So those two, I'm probably out on. I probably am moving those two, but not necessarily because I don't believe in their talent level. It's just because they've proven they can't stay injured in my uniform. I mean, they can't stay healthy in my uniform, rather. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just got a feeling if you move these players, you're going to find out they can stay healthier elsewhere. You're going to find out that you're going to find an organization that's going to get Zion a nutritionist and keep him in the gym. And since he's already started the process of turning his life around in that regard, he may be a much better player for the next organization than he was for you. I totally see that coming. Because he already started taking care of himself. We saw how much weight he lost in the offseason. Now, some of the injuries that he picked up probably is carryover from him not taking care of himself for a long period of time. But if those habits are in place for him to pick up and work out and eat better from here on out, giving up on him at 26 or whatever year, 25 years old, it's not going to be the best bet for you. It's not. If he starts taking care of himself, it's going to be a problem for you. I think about Anthony Davis and all the injury issues he had in New Orleans, and he came to the Lakers and he's been able to play like 73 games for us, stuff like that, start taking care of himself. New Orleans is like, I don't want to say New Orleans, the city's the problem. I just think it's the organization, man. I just don't think they really got it all together. I don't think they've ever had it all together. You can see nicely run organizations and what they're about. Look at the new OKC Thunder. You ain't going to find a better run organization. They do everything correctly. Even though they have a small market, they have it all. They capitalize on the Clippers being stupid. Got Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders and all the Clippers picks for the next 30 years. They capitalized. They drafted very well, and they continue to add stuff that matches and mixes and two-way players and length. And they knew when to tank. They tanked a good year. They got the picks they needed. They drafted very well. They didn't do anything stupid with their draft picks. They didn't pass up on Jason Tatum for Lonzo Ball type stuff. They did everything they were supposed to do with their draft picks. And now they're the best team in the Western Conference, maybe the best team in all of basketball. So it's like you can argue that they have a much smaller market in OKC than they do in New Orleans. It's not the market. It's not. It's it's not the food. You know what I mean? It's not. No. It's the organization itself. They got to clean house. They got some people. They got to get some people out of there. They got to fire some people. Owner may want to sell the team. They need a serious bunch of people in there that really know what they're doing to help them navigate the waters of the NBA. Because they don't really have an excuse. They have far more talent than most teams do, and they just continue to struggle for a plethora of reasons that are probably fixable. Probably fixable. When you have the injury issues they have, you should probably be putting the most of your money into your health situation. Fixing your health department, your state of the art, everything needs to get better in that way. And that you're not investing in that, but then getting frustrated with talent for not staying healthy, I think is part of the problem there. That's a real part of the problem. You got Zion Williamson who loves to eat. Y'all should have been investing in nutritionists and all different types of plans to try to get him right. That should have been the only thing. Or you should have moved him. You should be moving him, basically, if you can't do that. So, yeah, man. And B.I. rolling an ankle here, rolling an ankle there. He didn't have any problems when he was with the Lakers. I mean, he did get injured here and there, but he played a good portion of games with us. We kept him healthy. I don't know what happened when he got there, but they ain't been able to keep it going in the form of good health. I'm just like, yo, maybe it's all happenstance. Injuries are expected to be happenstance 9 out of 10 times. Guys just get hurt. Everybody has bad luck when that happens, whatever the case. But I don't know, man. If I'm looking at the Pelicans, I just say, okay, if you wanna ruin your situation, I'll be more than happy to give you Spiron D'Lo and Rui Hachimura for Zion Williamson. If you want to do that, obviously with Zion Williamson, you're gonna want draft equity. I'll throw in Jalen Hood-Schifino and Max Lewis. You know what I mean? Second round pick. Call it a day if that's what it's gonna require. But I'm not giving you no first. I'm not giving you Dalton Connect. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. And they say they want an offer for Zion that's going to blow them away. What's going to blow them away is the lack of offers for Zion. That's what's going to blow them away. Nobody interested, and it's because not many people are willing to take risk in this CBA on something that's proven itself to be injury prone, but likely going to be high maintenance. It's like this is not a good investment in this CBA. It's not really a good investment for any NBA team. I make the argument that I think he could be a part of a rebuilding situation, but I think most GMs are going to make the argument that he probably should be a win-now talent. Do you want to bring him in to help you if you're a win-now team, and what it's going to cost to give up from a win-now situation is probably going to be more reliable pieces, bringing back less reliable Zion. That's what you're really looking at. So let's say I'm a team like the Celtics. Say I want to bring Zion to my situation. Now I'm giving up Porzingis or something like that, bringing up Peyton Pritchard. Those are more reliable players in theory than Zion. So why would I do that? If I'm from the say team on the cusp like Dallas, now I got to give up Gafford and Lively and you're gonna want Clay or something like that. Like I'm giving up more talent that I think can be utilized more healthy to bring back Zion, who's proven himself to be not so healthy. So as a win now team that's trying to get over the hump, is he my solution? No, because I expect that he's going to miss time or come in out of shape. So that's that type of thing. It's just like I don't think New Orleans really is presenting themselves like they understand this. They may understand this and may be posturing by saying, yo, we want something that's going to blow us away. Give us your best shot. But if they have expectations that they're actually going to get that, that further speaks to the ineptitude of their franchise front office. So, yeah, man, I didn't really want to make this a Pelican video. Honestly, salute to Kobe Minute. But, at the end of the day, man, that's kind of who I think the Lakers are likely to be engaging in conversations with, because they have the highest level talent for potentially the shortest amount of price tag. I understand the conversations that are being had about Zvolis Valanciunas and the Brooklyn Nets, but that talent isn't just high enough, to be honest with you, to get the Lakers where they're trying to go. It's not high enough talent. These are nice role players, this and that, but we really need an influx of better talent. And if you bring in Zolan Valanciunas and he reaches his floor, you're out of worse than what you're bringing back worse than what you gave up. If you bring in Dorian Finney-Smith and he reaches his floor, same thing. So that's the problem. The Lakers need to be aiming for a bit more talent than what those guys are rumored to be if they're serious about winning a championship. If you're serious about making people happy by just pulling off a trade, then you could do some mid trade like that and overpay for it. But the reality is the type of talent that's going to get the Lakers where they want to go is probably a big trade with the New Orleans Pelicans. And you can send out D'Lo, send out Rui, and get back a handful of those contracts. That's You bring back Bi, you bring back Zion, maybe you bring back CJ, even though I literally hate his game. But that's the type of talent level where you add that to LeBron James. You bring back that 2 or 3 of those guys, and now you could say the Lakers can really make a push over the next 2 years for a championship. Now, can the Lakers pull that off without giving up picks? I don't think so. Are those players a surefire bet to stay healthy when they get to LA? I think our problem is the same as Pelicans. We can't keep people healthy either. For the most part, we've had issues with Vanderbilt that should disprove any chance of us having the best stuff going on in our situation. So that's my point of view. I just don't see doesn't mean it ain't there, but I don't see another trade partner that can give us the talent level that ultimately is serious. Not for what it is we're trying to do. The Nets are not. The Wizards are not, in my opinion, unless you're talking about bringing back Jordan Poole or Keyshawn George or something like that. But if you're talking about Valanciunas, that's not enough. It's not enough. So that's really what it comes down to for me as a Laker fan. I think I understand a bit better that if we're gonna be on the phone trying to make real things happen, we should probably be doing it with the Pelicans. We really should be. You bring back Bi, you bring in Zion, and you send out D'Lo. That type of upgrade is a real thing for us. Then we can start talking about, okay, we're going all in. We can start talking about, okay, we're a contender. Unless you're doing something like that, if you're LA, you're not really a contender. And the Nets talking about 2 first-rounders for Cam Johnson. They're going to find out the same thing that the Pelicans going to find out for Zion. That's just not real. And you, the Nets, by agreeing to the Schroeder trade that sent out him getting back 3 second-round picks and a hurt contract that's expiring, set the tone for that. You may not, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but you may not realize that you just hurt yourself for other trades by taking back so little. Because you set the tone for the rest of the trade market that this is what a player like Schroeder is worth. 3 second-rounders and a hurt guy who happens to be expiring, who in this case is salary. DeAnthony Melton is most definitely salary. You see what I'm saying? Just to return to the earlier conversation. So I don't think they're gonna get 2 picks for Cam Johnson, and I think it's their fault. 2 first-rounders for Cam Johnson. You should not have pulled the trigger on that Schroeder trade if you were certain that you weren't going to accept anything less than 2 first-rounders for Cam Johnson. So, yeah, man, Nets hurt themselves with that one, in my opinion. They set the market low, really low. And because of it, I'm excited about the idea that the Lakers may be able to actually do something that ain't going to cost us 2 picks because, hey, look at what Schroeder went for. That's a real thing. So that's why I'm getting on the phone with the Pelicans, seeing what's up with Bi, seeing what's up with Zion, and willing to move heaven and earth, not named first-round picks, to get them. I would, if I'm serious about trying to make a trade that's expected to make me good enough to be able to win a championship. I'm going to do that. And if they just come in injured, you hate me for it. I mean, that's really what it is. You keep on running around with Rui and you know what I mean, Gabe Vincent, if you know what I'm saying, and keep on waiting on Vanderbilt if you want. But I'm of the mindset that the Lakers shouldn't be making trades just to be making them, but I'm also of the mindset that they, I have a lot of pressure on them to do something, and I think based on what I'm looking at, the stuff that's being rumored ain't good enough. That's really what it comes down to. So the Pelicans, it is. If you're going to do something, do it big, man. Zion, B.I., I don't know if you can move all all that you need to get all of those guys back. You probably got to move first rounders to get both of them or something like that. I'm not foolish into thinking that I'm going to be able to get everything I want for no picks. But if you're going to do a trade to try to get better, that's really what I see rumored that actually gets you there. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching.